Do you like fantasy football and sports betting? Come join us here at the Parlay Fantasy Football Podcast, where hosts Matt, Shane, and Jason talk about fantasy players, lineups, and sports betting to help you compete and win championships. And of course, some extra cash. Let's jump right into the show.
Welcome back to another episode of the Parlay Fantasy Football Podcast. Matt, Shane, and Jason with you guys tonight on this stormy Kansas evening. But before Shane and Jason do their elaborate, beautiful introductions, guys, we have our first writer here on the podcast with us. Dylan, how are we doing tonight, bud?
Doing well. I'm glad to be here and glad to contribute any way I can, I guess. And I don't know if I'll be able to keep up with you all since you all are experienced veterans and everything at this, but I try to do the best I can.
Oh, we are super happy to have you guys. Dylan is going to be writing some articles for us, guys, and they are going to be on parlaypod.com. You go and check out our website. Shane's doing all his magical things with the website. I'm sure he'll post some stuff that he writes on X and so on and so forth. But before Shane and Jason do their thing, guys, if you want to follow us on any of our X accounts, you can find myself at Matt_ParlayFF. You can find Shane at ShaneParlayFF. And you can find Jason at JasonParlayFF. How are you guys doing tonight, boys?
I am doing fantastic, sir. It was a crazy weekend for me. I feel like I drove all the way to the center of the U.S. and back, which was a factual statement. But I'm here, and I'm ready to talk football, baby. So, let's get it.
The center of the U.S., I was like, come on, you drove 2 hours, bro.
I was in Bismarck.
2 hours, bro. It was like
I was in Bismarck County. Saying,
I was like, oh my gosh, dude. It was like, you drove 2 hours and you're
center
like that. I was
center
like,
of the U.S.
Hey, whatever.
US.
Hey, center of the U.S., yes, you like, technically you are right, but I'm back. I'm going to give Shane shit. We know we're so back right now, but hey, Dylan, glad to have you here. Thank you for your contributions and what you're going to do for us going forward. I look forward to it, and you're just going to help our channel grow, and I could ask for nothing more. Matt, you look decent, I guess, but
fireworks. He's got fireworks going in the background.
So hey, glad to be back. I'm ready to get this episode going.
Yeah, man. So tonight, guys, what we're going to be doing for our episode, as long as this storm does not cut my power, if you are on YouTube, go out and check. You can see lightning just right outside my window. But we are going to be talking about kind of like a fire and ice episode again. We're going to be talking about players that we think are going to finish higher than the ADP or players that we think are going to perform below their ADP, right? So before we jump into that, though, I think we got another little segment we got to get into, boys.
News and notes around the league.
Matt, you know that sounds so much like a Rocket League song that is crazy. Anyways, love the new drop, man. That's great. News and notes. The most pressing news coming out of camp right now is N'Keal Harry is officially a tight end now, baby. So N'Keal Harry season is back. I know that some of you guys missed that name. So fun things on the horizon there. Christian McCaffrey resets running back market. For those of you on the YouTube, you guys can see I'm pulling up a Roto Baller. So he signed a $19 million a year contract is what it essentially works out to.
19, damn, that's what it was?
Yeah, it's a fat contract. Mm-hmm. And then Justin Jefferson also re-signed, and I'm trying to find
4-year, $130 million extension.
140 million.
Yeah.
And 110 is guaranteed. Yeah, 140. 4-year, 140. He is the highest non-quarterback in the NFL.
And doesn't that equate to like 30 It's like 30 million a year,
Yeah,
35 million.
35, I think.
35.
35, yeah.
Yeah. Mhm. Well, and I'm just shocked that, well, it's about time that they signed him, but at the same time, I thought that they would give him up for trade. I guess that trade offer that they got in from Cincy didn't equate to that.
I mean,
that was going to be
since
tough.
he would still have to pay him too. Like that was the other thing. Like they have to pay him, and
Well,
Yeah, they would rather pay him
Minnesota's
than
not paying their
Hayden,
quarterback
though.
either right now. So
Yeah.
yeah, you can do that when you don't pay your QB. CeeDee Lamb though, contract talks
Did they
Contract
Yeah,
talks
sitting
are
there.
going. Yeah, he's so excited for all of this news. He's just like, yeah, hey, you see all these dollar bills? Jerry Jones, listen, buddy.
Yeah.
And then the only other additional news that was like really relevant was Darren Waller is officially expected to retire.
Retire, yeah. Mhm.
So
Apparently,
I think it's Theo Johnson, but some people think it's Daniel Bellinger. But we'll see.
he's going to retire. He's potentially going to retire from football, but he's not going to retire from his singing. Did you guys catch that?
Yeah.
Well, my guy
It's-
put his heart in that song.
Dude. Hey, he needs to retire from singing as well, okay?
I was like, dude, just because you got broken up with doesn't mean your life is over.
Kelsey Plum broke it. Okay.
Dude, it's crazy. Yeah, so there you guys go. Is that all the news that we got?
Aside from random training camp, well, I guess it's not even training camp, OTA and stuff that's happening, nothing going on. I will say we should hear soon about what the NFL rules on the tampering for the Atlanta Falcons and for the Philadelphia Eagles. So as soon as we find those things out, I mean, Twitter's going to go crazy. So be prepared. Strap in.
Yeah, and guys, Dylan's going to be putting out some articles here and there. We're all still trying to figure out how this is all going to really play out. But we do want to grow. We do want the podcast to get up and get bigger. We're still working on a few more things. We've actually, I'm not going to release nothing yet, but we do have some sponsorship stuff in the works. So be on the lookout for that in the next couple weeks. Hopefully by next episode, we'll be able to offer you guys something cool. So keep your eyes on that. If you guys want to tune into any of the podcasts, man, go over and hit that little follow button on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, wherever you guys listen to your podcasts. Go over there, check out the Parlay Fantasy Football Podcast. Give us a follow, 5-star review. And you guys do your thing. We're going to keep doing ours. So with that being said, boys, let's get into it.
Fire and Ice.
It's a little fire and ice time, guys. We are going to be listing off a couple players that we feel like are going to rise above their ADP and some that might fall below their ADP. And this is just kind of our projections, right? These are just things that we look at throughout the season. Last season, we get together some totals, look at some stats, and compile them all. And this is where they just come out, right? So we are soon, too, before we jump into it, we are going to be releasing our official rankings. Like Shane said, he was super, super busy last weekend. So we are going to get our rankings collectively as a unit and average them out and put them out there. So that way you guys can see kind of where we have players ranked for our personal projections. So that being said, who wants to go first? Shane, you go first.
Oh, sick. So I have the non-relevant, relevant running backs as my two kickers, and I'm grouping them as two guys that will outperform what their ADP is. That is Gus Edwards and Devin Singletary. Both are entrenched individuals within their organization, and they're cheap. Like, they're dead cheap. I don't have ADPs in front of me. I just have rankings in front of me right now. So I cannot speak to that unless one of you guys pulls a sleeper.
I'm looking it up. You're good.
They gotta be low. I mean, high.
Yeah, well, I mean, Singletary is
RB 34.
Yeah. That's what his current RB rank is, and the same with Gus Edwards. Gus Edwards is
I think he's
31. 31.
Gus Edwards is 40.
I was like, oh wow. So yeah,
for RB 40. RB 40.
Yeah,
Wow.
the ranking consensus rankings is what I have pulled up on my screen, and YouTube's seeing it too. So, what's funny is their ranking is RB 31 for Gus Edwards and RB 27 for Devin Singletary. So, like, just if you imply what, like, experts are expecting them to do, they're outproducing what they're currently being drafted at. And I think that they end up breaking into, like, what is that RB dead zone? Because you see these later round, like, there's no ambiguity in their backfield. Well, I guess there is in Gus Edwards' case, but there is none when it comes to Devin Singletary. His competition is Tyrone Tracy. Like, that's just about it. So, I mean, I think that both are going to get the opportunity and they're going to get the volume. And as an RB2, that's pretty damn worth it.
Now, do you guys think I like those two? I really, really do. Does anybody here on the podcast think that Tyrone Tracy could ultimately supplant Devin Singletary? Is that like if you're a player or if you're a team that has Devin Singletary, I don't think it'd happen right away. Right. But does that thought cross your mind that Tyrone Tracy could eventually just take over? Because there's really no competition, right? It's Devin Singletary and Tyrone Tracy.
Right. So I didn't like the signing of Singletary whenever my Texans got him last year, but it seemed like he had just a revamp in his career last year. And where he earned himself that new contract. He earned himself every dollar he's making this year. And I like what he does out of the backfield. I mean, the dude can catch the ball. The dude can run the ball. He finds the gaps and whatnot. I like what he does. But at the same time, he's not going to be your stereotypical running back.
Well, obviously we knew who he was, right? But he really did not emerge as anything special until last year.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think?
He was RB 30 last year.
Yeah, I know, but he had some pop games that made everybody like, oh God, I got to get Devin Singletary. You know what I mean? And like people were scrambling. Some people scrambling for him.
He ruined Dameon Pierce.
Right, Dylan. Do you got any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I feel like I would need to see it. I mean, Singletary, I feel like is the guy right now, but I would need to see it from Tracy before I'm like, okay, I want to go pick up this guy.
Makes sense.
I now need to see it more than just a week, like 2 or 3 weeks in a row before I'm ready to like
dive in.
Fight Singletary a little bit because he's the guy. Like you kind of got even if it's just your RB2, like he's the guy where he's at. You kind of got to go with him.
Yeah,
I think or at least the beginning of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, I think Tracy is much more of a interesting threat as a receiving back, which will take away some of the work Devin gets, but I don't think they'd necessarily.
Definitely can still do that out of the backfield, which is.
Yeah, and Devin's actually an almost better pass catcher than he is a runner because he's a plotter when he runs.
And
he's not a. Also, Matt, your window is freaking me out. It went from like 0 to 100 real quick by.
Yeah, son. I don't know if you can see you can't hear, but it is. It's downpouring out here. It's downpouring out here. Okay, I'm gonna go next.
It looks blue as hell in your background right now. I see sunshine and raindrops.
Bro, it's downpouring. It's downpouring heavy. Lightning, thunder. All right, I'm gonna go next, and Dylan, you can hop in here with your first one. Since we were on the Devin Singletary talk, I'm actually gonna be talking a little bit about Joe Mixon. Okay, right now his ADP is running back 15. It's running back 15. It's crazy. Last year he finished as RB7 or RB8, and I get it. It was the last game or last couple games where he had those blow up weeks that really propelled him in. I understand that. He finished with 216 fantasy points last year. On 257 attempts, he had just over 1,000 yards rushing, 9 touchdowns on the ground. He ended up with like 357 receiving yards and 3 touchdowns, I believe. So he ended up with 12 total touchdowns last year. He now goes to a team that made Devin Singletary look extremely well. Like a lot of people are underselling the Houston Texans offensive line. They have a pretty good offensive line. Now we know Dameon Pierce is there, but Joe Mixon, you would just have to think after being behind in Cincinnati last year, their offensive line was banged up. Their whole offense was banged up. No Joe Burrow. The workload he got. Chase Brown did sprinkle in a little bit here and there, but I expect Dameon Pierce to sprinkle in a little bit, but I feel like this is going to be a very good offensive line for Joe Mixon, and I see no reason why he is not going to be the bell cow. I mean, they signed him a 3-year deal for a boatload of money. He's going to get his. I see him finishing a little ahead of his ADP this year. I see him finishing in the range of RB10, RB9, RB10 by the end of the year. I just fully expect him to, or I fully expect us to see a different side of Joe Mixon. And like right now, I don't have my projections pulled up in front of me, but I think I have him projected to be right around that 1,150, 1,200 yard mark for running backs. And I think I haven't finished with 11 or 12 touchdowns. So it's not like a crazy, crazy number. But I feel like Joe Mixon is going to finish ahead of RB15. And I think people are kind of down on him just because of, we talked about it a couple weeks ago. He didn't do great, but that's based off Cincinnati's offense. They didn't really do great. Joe Mixon did his thing. And I think he's gonna be better than he was last year. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I agree with you. I think being what he was last year, if he is just that in Houston, he's going to take a ton of pressure off C.J. Stroud. I know that's not necessarily affecting Mixon's fantasy value, but like they're going to run the ball, I think, more than they did last year, because just like Stroud's going to come in with some pressure on him. They're going to come in, find ways to manufacture touches for him. And yeah, I agree with you that I think his ADP this year will be higher than that. Yeah.
Shane, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. His consensus ranking is 10, Matt. So you were on the nose with that, and I completely agree. One of the issues that I do see is the strength of schedule. They play a very, very hard strength of schedule. So
they do.
It kind of depends, and if he can stay healthy. He does turn 28 this year. Funny enough, he turns 28, like, I think this Friday. And everyone's like, oh, he's old. He's old. And Christian McCaffrey turns 28 like next month. And everyone's like, oh, he's not that old yet, which is so funny. But anyways, I digress. He will outperform 15 for sure. He's in that RB dead zone, but I don't know that he necessarily belongs. He probably belongs somewhere in that top 12 tier. My only issue is I don't know who you can bump out of that top 12 tier to put him in there. So like that's tough. Where you're like, it's almost a tier of 13. And that's kind of how I view that. But I'm all on board on Mixon eating this year probably.
I really wish I would have said 29, but at the same time,
on your 30.
I feel like he's going to outperform the guys that are ahead of him that I'm looking at for ADP. I really do feel like he's going to outperform Acme for Miami.
Achane.
Same thing. And I do feel like he's going to outperform Rashad White.
That's where I have him. I have him compared.
I'm sitting there. I'm like, I can see him outperforming those guys.
In
order to move his value up.
Achane, I can kind of see Achane just because it's still going to be a committee. They did bring Raheem Mostert back. He's going to still do his thing, but Rashad White, I have Joe Mixon and him very, very close in numbers.
Right, yeah.
Very close. I don't know.
Fun fact, Rashad White plays the second easiest strength of schedule this year.
He also did get his replacement drafted this year.
Whoa. Bucky Irving is not Rashad's replacement.
Hey, let's just put that.
One of them broke FCS records, and the other one played in
no name in college.
Was a pretty okay back in the
you know exactly. What? For Shane's facial expression,
Rashad set FCS records, brother.
Shane,
you're thinking about that the wrong way.
Shane, for your facial expression, you get a little applause for that. That was good. When Jason said that was pretty dang good.
Right. When Bucky takes his TDs away from him, you can come cry to me later.
God. Okay.
Bucky's
all right. Dylan, who you got?
So I'm going to go with the first quarterback. So I think below ADP this year, I'm going to go with Josh Allen. So average draft position right now is in the high 20s, 21, 22-ish right now. Last year, he set the quarterback record for rushing touchdowns in a season. And I just think, I know he's lost so many receivers. His go-to guy is probably going to be Dalton Kincaid right off the bat. you just don't know what you're going to get with a rookie receiver in Coleman, but he's going to have so much pressure on him to perform, and it's kind of all on him with their offense. He rushed for so many touchdowns last year, and I feel like I'm fading him just a little bit. Still a top 5 quarterback for sure, just because of his value with the rushing and everything. But I feel like I would put at least 2 or 3 guys, if not 4, in front of him right now to start the season.
I like that, a little spicy action, because it's crazy. It's crazy that you say that, because obviously if you look at mock drafts right now, he's still majority one of the first quarterbacks taken off the board.
Oh yeah,
in most mock drafts. I do agree with you. Josh Allen, to me, is obviously, we all know, man, he's a dominant athlete. He's got a rocket of an arm. He runs the ball like a freaking gazelle and a freaking brown bear mixed, right? Runs people over.
Okay.
But it's kind of a weird, sorry guys, weird comp. I couldn't, it wasn't coming to the top of my head. Shane, keep your facial expressions to yourself. But the crazy part is that's only going to get you so far. Like, teams know kind of what he's going to be doing, and with Stephon Diggs gone out the door, Gabe Davis gone out the door, you're left with a rookie wide receiver who, in historic past, rookie receivers, they don't all really break out their first year, right?
Or at least take a while to get going. You brought in Curtis Samuel, who I think will be a nice addition to that team. I think he will be utilized quite a bit. Khalil Shakur, we saw burst from him last year. And then obviously Dalton Kincaid. He's a pretty dang good tight end. But I do agree with you. Like, I think there is going to be a little regression on him. And he threw how many interceptions? Do we remember off the top of our heads how many interceptions he threw last year?
I had the stats right here.
18.
18 interceptions. Like,
okay.
To be honest, I could see him throwing more than 18 this year.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't get me wrong. I would love to have him on my roster. I would love to have him on my roster, but I don't think, I agree with you, Dylan. I don't think that's the first quarterback I would take off the board.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Jay.
I guess I see him running more this year than I do in previous years. Because at the end of the year, with what they did, with game plan, scheme, whatnot, run the football, I liked what they did right there, and they took the ball out of his hands.
Shane?
Yeah, they schemed away from him. I will say, I agree with you guys. You guys omitted his number one weapon, and that's Chase Claypool. I will say Josh Allen is in an interesting situation because Buffalo's attempting to do the Patrick Mahomes track, like where they got so cap heavy that they had to like almost divest from their team, and they're just hoping that Josh Allen's the guy that can carry and elevate. And I don't think of him as the passer that elevates the guys around him. I think of him as more of like a play creator. He's more of the shooting guard, not the point guard. And I don't know how well that works in an offense where he doesn't have a viable like number one. Mm-hmm. So I'm high on Dalton Kincaid. I'm high on I'm getting turned back towards being high on James Cook. Especially because he's falling in a lot of drafts. But yeah, Josh is one of those guys that like you have to really feel strongly to invest that early in a quarterback, and he's not that this year.
Yeah, I like that. Jason, who's your player?
So we're going off on the same team. I love Khalil Shakur. I love him this year. Based on his ADP is 54 right now. Yeah, y'all were just talking shit about Josh Allen and whatnot. So yeah, you can keep on running your freaking mouth. He showed amazing signs at the end of last year whenever Stephon was basically just throwing a bitch fit. Whenever everybody was down on the Buffalo Bills, they were running the football with James Cook and whatnot. Shakur is now getting his opportunity. He is wide receiver 54 on an ADP, depending on what you're looking at. And I feel like he's going he's going to be one of those downfield threats that we can all agree on that Allen does love to press the football down the field. So he's going to get his opportunity, and in order to score those touchdowns, in order to pick up those big plays, give me Khalil Shakur to finish above the top 50. Give me him to finish in the top 30
Whoa.
for wide receivers this year.
Whoa. Whoa, son. Bold take. That's a bold take.
That's a big jump.
I mean, do we know the difference?
That is.
Do we know the difference between like wide receiver 50 and wide receiver like 35, right? It's probably not. It's probably not a massive.
To give you an understanding, wide receiver, I guess 35 is 36 is DeAndre Hopkins.
Well, I meant like
points wise.
Yeah, it can't be like a massive.
Oh,
you're talking like a touchdown could move someone up like 4 spots. You know what I mean? Like another touchdown.
38 was Gabe Davis. It was 116 points.
Okay. So there could be a little bit there.
And Khalil finished with 74 points last year and finished at 58.
Would you rank Rome ahead of Khalil? Sure.
Yeah, probably.
That's 40 right there.
Yeah.
Would you rank Worthy over Shakur?
100%.
Yeah.
He's also above Rome.
I would too. I'm throwing out names.
No, you're good. I actually like those. Yeah, probably. I do like those bold takes, though. I like it. Shane, what do you got for your next player?
In the vein of wide receiver, seems like we're just following trends here this year, or this episode. I'm going to trend with a wide receiver as well that I think is getting slept on because of his teammates, and that's Chris Godwin. They made an addition this offseason with Jalen McMillan, which honestly I think behooves Chris Godwin because it allows him to play in the slot more, which in the past he has been one of the best slot receivers in the NFL. Allowing him to move back to a position he's very comfortable in will only allow that offense to be more facilitative from Baker. And he finished his RB 32 last year. He's currently being ranked as wide receiver 35. You know where his teammate is being ranked currently? Mike Evans is being ranked as wide receiver 10, and his ADP is 18. And that was because Evans had all the touchdowns last year.
Yeah, and he always goes over 1,000 yards receiving.
Always has
he's your perfect garbage time receiver in fantasy.
Yeah.
Perfect.
But Godwin only had 3 touchdowns on the year last year, which is going to have positive progression. Like, you're not going to have another 3 touchdown year from Chris Godwin, especially when he moves back into the role that he is more comfortable in, which is the slot. And it's another year with Baker. It's continuity. It's that offense. And yeah, I foresee very interesting things on the horizon for Godwin. I would expect him to end up, it's not going to be a massive jump because that top tier is really, really hard to break into. His current ranking is 29. I have him somewhere in the 18-ish range. And I think that Baker can support both him and Mike Evans in that exact range. But there's no reason for a legitimate 19 difference, like ranking difference of 19 between the two because of touchdown variance. That's insane to me.
Dylan, what do you think about that?
I agree with you, Shane. I would have a hard time believing that he doesn't score at least 5 touchdowns. I mean, if not closer to 10 next year for sure. And I think even with their division kind of getting a little bit shook up this year, like there's going to be opportunities for them to be in games and score some points and throw the ball, down the field and stuff. And him being more comfortable, like you said, I agree with. And I would say between 5 and 10 touchdowns would be my prediction for him, but I could see him going over 10 too. I mean, I don't think it's likely, but I could see it happening.
If he had 5 touchdowns last year, guys, he would have gone from wide receiver 32 to wide receiver 25.
Dang.
Well,
So,
I
like-
like him better. I like him better than T. Higgins this year.
Agreed.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I
I can
agree
get
with that
behind that.
too. Yeah.
I can get behind that.
Higgins has never eclipsed 1,000 or has eclipsed 1,000 yards one time in his career. Fun fact.
Right, and T. Higgins is ranked. I'm looking at ADP right now. T. Higgins is ranked above him by a couple spots, but at the same time, it's like, okay, top 30, yes, top 15, that's a push, but I like the bold take.
Yeah, I like that
Oh,
as well.
sorry. Higgins has finished above 1,000 yards twice. One, he beat 1,000 yards by 29 yards. So that's where that one is.
All right, guys, I'm going to jump in here with my player, and this is going to be a little disgusting, all right? But I was going through all the rankings, not just mine. I was going through a lot of people's rankings. And a name caught my eye. And we're talking about a very, could be a very nasty team. But that's Kendrick Bourne, wide receiver, New England Patriots. Listen, his ADP.
Let me scroll way down here.
Yeah, I'm telling you, his ADP average right now is anywhere between 88 and 92 for wide receiver. Okay. Last year, he played 8 games, tore his ACL in week 8, and still finished as wide receiver 64 last season with Mac Jones and Bailey Zappi as his quarterback. Okay. The crazy part is the Patriots just signed him to a 3-year, $19.5 million deal. You sign somebody for that kind of money, guess what? You're going to play, and you're probably going to get yours, right? Last year, he also, let's see, before his injury, he was the fantasy wide receiver 28, averaging 10.2 points per game. Now, come off an ACL injury. I know he turns 29, but coming off an ACL injury, it is a little skeptical, right? But when you sign a player for that much money, he's going to be relevant. Now, are we going to see some of these younger receivers usurp him at some point in time? Possibly. But it's hard for me to imagine as a fantasy player who is looking for points, especially certain weeks, bye weeks, so on and so forth. It is hard to me to imagine that a guy like Jacoby Brissett or even Drake May, right? We haven't even seen Drake May, but I can already tell you right now he's a better quarterback than Mac Jones. Sorry, Mac Jones, but you're done, son. It's hard for me to imagine that Kendrick Bourne just automatically becomes irrelevant. And where they have him ranked, they're basically irrelevant. And I'm okay picking up a wide receiver, whether it's off the waiver wire or whatnot, just to stash him on my team if I have spots to see what happens. Because at wide receiver 88, you're talking like he's nothing, like he's irrelevant. Like Malachi Corley, those guys, they're all above him in ADP. And so there's names out there that you're like, wait a minute, this dude's still up in the league? When Kendrick Bourne's sitting there at wide receiver 88, I'm happy to take a little shot on him. I think he finishes well above wide receiver 88, as long as he stays healthy. What do you guys think?
I agree, and I think in New England there's just not bodies to throw the ball to. I know they picked some rookies and bringing some guys in, but if they had to play a game tomorrow and he was healthy, like he's the guy.
Yeah.
For catches or targets, and yeah, I agree with you. He's going to finish well above that.
Yeah, I'm on board with taking the shot at him. I will say I think Pop Douglas, if you're betting on someone who's in-house, Pop Douglas would be my bet for New England, especially since Drake May literally came out today and said you couldn't guard him in a phone booth, which is pretty awesome to describe a wide receiver that way. And yeah, I'm on board. I see the upside, especially if Javon takes a while to acclimate or Jalen Polk. And yeah, I definitely I'm on board. So.
Yeah, because I'm not saying that. I think Pop Douglas will end up being the wide receiver 1 there, probably more than likely. I'm just saying that Kendrick Bourne is going to finish above wide receiver 88. I mean, all his teammates are above him already in ADP. And it's like even Juju was above him in ADP. I think he was like high 70s or mid 70s, I think is what I saw. I could be wrong on that, but I'm like, dude, Kendrick Bourne outperformed all those dudes last year while he was healthy. That is, I mean, he didn't play the last 8 games of the season and still finished at wide receiver 64. So I'm like, yeah,
receivers go to die in New England unless their name is
yeah.
Randy Moss.
Unless your name's Randy Moss.
Or Wes Welker.
All right, who you got next,
or
Dylan?
Walker, whatnot. But like fantasy value, I get what you're saying. I do like the take on a low end, like on his ADP and him finishing higher. That's what I'm saying.
Gotcha.
Unless your name's Randy Moss, then you're gonna go way big.
Yeah, Dylan, who you got?
So I'm going to switch over to running back, and this guy right now, his average ADP is 26. So it's not too terrible low, but this is Devon Achane. I think in Miami this coming year, Raheem Mostert's a year older. He can still play, but he's a year older. He's got to slow down a step, you would think. And I think that his touches, Achane's touches, are just going to go through the roof this year. I feel like they kind of eased him in last year, and he was still so explosive just week to week, and he could go off and win a matchup for you in any given week. But at 26 ADP right now, I feel like he could very easily be top 15 at the end of the year.
The only thing with Achane is like, as long as Mostert doesn't steal his goal line touches, he would have been so much better and so much value worthy going forward, because Mostert, whenever you get in the red zone or in the 10-yard line, they're going to put Mostert in, which unfortunately that's what Miami does. They put the bigger back in.
They do, but they also score from a lot from outside the red zone too. And he's the guy between the 20s.
Yeah, and I love the play. Is he going to get vultured or not? Sure. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah, are you at all worried about, like, I mean, obviously we know what Achane can do. He's got, like Dylan just said, massive burst, real quick, real twitchy, and if you blink your eye, he's gone. Are you at all worried about his size? I mean, I don't like using the words injury prone just because everyone's kind of injury prone, but are you worried about his size and his hamstring issue that he had going on? It was a hamstring, I think, right? Are you worried about that at all this year, this upcoming year? Mm-hmm. Does that worry you at all, especially with his size? Or are you just like, you know what, I'm still going to roll the dice on him?
I would take a chance on him still.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I lean that direction too, but that was one thing that I heard a lot about.
They do a good job of like balancing of like Mostert and even whoever their other backs could possibly be, of kind of taking touches and spreading around a little bit. But I think Achane's touches are going to have a chance on him.
Yeah. His expert considered it. You know, he pros now. Where VP from for that instance, maybe he's a 26th player overall.
That's what.
Oh, okay. I think that he is a very much a boom or bust option. And Matt, regarding his size, he actually added weight this offseason, so I feel like that's slightly less concerning. My concern is the distribution of touches in that backfield, because it could be a three-headed monster. With Jalen Wright getting drafted, they praised him in OTAs. We know everybody's seen what he did at Tennessee. Obviously, Mostert's still there, and at HN, that's just a lot of mouths to feed in an offense that's gonna be an air raid offense. So, but they're gonna have to score a lot this year because they have a very tough schedule. So, it'll be interesting to see what shakes out. And Achane, whichever is definitely one of those very solid guys that's in that like weird mesh range of like could boom to be a top 5 running back, could fall to the 25th running back.
Jason, you got another player?
Tank Bigsby. I have him listed at right now around 61. ADP average on different platforms is 63 and a half. I like what Jacksonville could potentially do. I think they need to take the ball out of Trevor Lawrence's hands going forward, and I feel like they need to run the football. ETN has shown that, hey, he is going to be that dude going forward, but I don't like ETN and his health. I don't like what their what Jacksonville does, and I feel like if they want to run the ball between the tackles, Bigsby is that guy, and I feel like he is going to get more touches this year. I expect him to be top 50 ADP in running back totals this year.
Yeah, I mean, there is a pathway where he ends up significantly higher than 63 as his finish.
But
I'm not a huge Tank fan, and I think a lot of the talking about limiting ETN is coach speak, because I think of ETN as the same vein as a player like CMC, where like he is so talented you can't take him off the field.
But they don't use him like CMC though, which is concerning to me.
I mean, yeah, but he gets the volume of touches like CMC.
Yeah, but he doesn't get the same kind of touches as CMC.
That's schematics. Like he's that's not what he schemed to do in that offense, and he does amazing things with those touches. It's just hard to pull him off the field.
It's the same thing. He's the same player. I agree with you, but they don't use him like CMC.
Here's my take. Here's my take on Tank Bigsby. I do think that they'll give him a chance to have some more play this year, early on in the season. I do think they'll at least give him that shot. They obviously want to give him that shot. Like Shane said, there was a lot of talk about getting him integrated more. We do know the issue that he had last year fumbling the ball. We do have the issue of ETN kind of fumbling the ball. I do think that ETN's still going to be the main dude. I think ETN sees the bulk of all the running back shares, but I'm on board with you, Jason, as far as I think that they're going to give Tank Bigsby an opportunity to kind of say, okay, you didn't do well last year. This is your opportunity. We'll try to integrate you. And if he doesn't do well at the beginning of the season, I don't think he'll have any run.
He's going to get bolstered.
Yeah.
His pitches are going to go to Killian Robinson. If Tank Bigsby is not adequate this year, early on in the season, his role will be completely dissolved, and it will go to the rookie they drafted.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree.
So,
with
like,
that.
it is but he's free. So,
yeah.
Like, I do agree with what you're saying. Like, there is a more than a coin flip that he is significantly above 62 or 63 this year.
Yeah.
Like,
63. Yeah.
Positioning. I definitely am on board with that. That he definitely has I think like 60-40 outcome of like being in the top 50. But at the same time, if he starts off slow, he's going to end up RB 100 because he will not have a role. So like you are rostering him as a last roster spot on your bench.
Let's put it this way. I would love to see him play well because he had so much hype coming in last year and every single person was talking about him. Like, this is the dude. And I think all of us were like, dude, this guy's going to be legit. Yeah. So I hope he does well. And I see the path like Shane alluded to, but he's got to make those opportunities count when it comes to game time, son, or else he will be irrelevant and not in a Jaguars uniform.
Well, I would say him or Miles Sanders.
Oh, I'm probably rolling the dice on. Oh God, I would probably roll the dice on. I would probably roll the dice on Tank unless Miles Sanders gets traded to another team, because I think Miles Sanders is third on that depth chart right now.
Yeah, I concur with you, Matt. Yeah, and Sanders is ranked above him, which I think is interesting.
Yeah, they're neck and neck. They're neck and neck right now.
Dylan, do you have a quick take on that? And then we'll each go through one more player, and then we got to wrap it up.
So I can see a path with you, Jason. I'll have your back there. I think
Thank you.
in the South, like they're gonna have to score some points, win games in their division. Like the Colts are gonna be better. Houston has improved greatly. They're gonna be better than they were last year. Like they're gonna have to score some points and spread some touches around. So I can see a path where they're scoring points up and down the field, and both him and ETN can be productive. So I can see that for you, Jason. I'll have your back on that.
Jason, stop fist bumping. Shane, who you got?
I have bad news. Our audio on YouTube has not been working.
Yeah, I got a text on that.
Yeah, I just saw that. So that's awkward.
But you see our mouth moving.
Yeah, we'll have to do some fun stuff here. My last one, I'm gonna do a combo again, and it's only because both players directly affect each other. I am icing Nick Chubb, and I am lighting an absolute fire under Jerome Ford.
Okay.
There is no reason that RB 39 Jerome Ford should be RB 39 at this time. Nick Chubb is coming off of a multiple ligament tear at, I don't even, how old is he now? Isn't he 29?
I think he's 27. I could be wrong. I don't know.
I'm trying to find Nick Chubb on my list here. Anyways, look, Jerome Ford showed amazing burst and ability to run between the tackles last year in his limited touches. And to just kind of shrug him off while he's going to lead a backfield in Cleveland that has a very good running, pushing offensive line. And that's one of the skill sets they have. They're not going to lean on Deshaun because Deshaun's absolutely washed. And yeah, I don't understand how you can just shrug off the fact that you're getting what is the lead back in the backfield as the 39th running back off the board. It's incoherent to me that like we're not moving him up because the dude produced last year. He finished as RB19, and that was with Chubb still playing. What am I missing?
You're not missing anything. I'm actually 100% on board with you. 100%.
And they have the 7th easiest strength of schedule for running.
Now, I don't understand why he's ranked so low after the catastrophic knee injury that Chubb had.
To be honest with you, I don't know if they just think that, like, because to be 100%, dude, I don't think he's going to be ready at the start of the season.
Well,
Nick Chubb's not even ranked.
ACL, MCL, PCL, and it was the whole shebang, right?
Yeah, it was everything.
Yeah, he tore him all.
It was everything.
He hit the lotto. And, like, they don't, what, they're going to the ball to Devonta Foreman instead? We saw how well that worked last year in Chicago. You got, like, 2 productive games, and then the wheels fell off. Like, it's going to be the Jerome Ford show.
It should definitely be. It should definitely be the Jerome Ford show. I agree with you 100% there. Dylan, you got any comments on that?
Yeah, I agree with Shane. It should be. And why he's 39, is that what you said? Why he's that low? Just, I don't get that either. Yeah, I agree with you.
It's crazy. All right, I'm going to roll into my last one here, guys. And that's DK Metcalf. I am so tired of people disrespecting my boy here. Disrespect, okay? He's consistently ranked either at wide receiver 20 or outside wide receiver 20. Right now, he is ranked, the ADP right now is wide receiver 23. Now, ECR is wide receiver 20, but still, he constantly finishes at wide receiver 16 or lower. Every year. Every single year he finishes right around 16, 15, 14. And I think he's even been as high as 12. Listen, okay, DK Metcalf is an athletic freak. He missed one game last year. One game. First game of his NFL career he missed due to injury. He started the season off hot. Like weeks 1 through 3 was on fire. And everyone's like, okay, this is why I draft this dude, because he's just going to win me weeks. He's going to win me weeks. Then he went through that little lull where everyone panicked and they were like, we got to get rid of him. We got to sell him right now. Hopefully we get something just because of his name. They had their bye week, missed his game due to injury, and all the wheels were falling off DK Metcalf. Then like the last 6 weeks blew back up again. He ended up finishing with over 1,000 yards receiving. finished with 11 touchdowns. This dude had 23% target share on his team. 23%. That's a pretty damn big number. He had 40% air yards in the NFL, which finished as the 10th most in the league for air yards. This dude can get it done as a wide receiver 2. You ought to be happy he is on your roster when you draft him. I guarantee you right now, he will finish inside wide receiver 20. Now, the one drawback that I do agree with on a lot of people is the quarterback situation. Geno Smith. It all hinges on him, right? Can he actually be the QB that gets it done? I know there's been a lot of talks about Sam Howell saying, oh, I'm going to take Geno Smith's job and all this and that. Well, I guess if you do, you do. I mean, whatever. But Geno Smith has got to be the catalyst of this. Now, I know they have JSN, who I think is going to see more play. We obviously know they still have Tyler Lockett. You saw regression from Tyler Lockett last year. I think you'll continue to see. I think that's right. I think you'll continue to see a little regression from Tyler Lockett. I think JSN will be a little bit more involved. But DK Metcalf is one of those dudes that you just look at and you wonder how he does what he does. He runs like 23 mile an hour. The dude's huge. He can jump. He's fast. He will finish inside wide receiver 20 this year. Mark my words. Any comments on that?
I am 100% on board. Also, I think this Geno hate is completely obscene. It's overblown. Geno was a fantastic quarterback last year and the year prior. It's overblown. He's not going to win you weeks, but he is a confident quarterback in the pocket.
Top 15 quarterback.
Yeah. He's
a top of the league quarterback. I mean, like, I agree.
Completely overblown. And also, them adding the offensive coordinator they did this year, the guy from Washington.
Yeah.
They're going to run 3 wide receiver sets. They're going to play fast, quick, and in a fucking hurry. And teams better watch out because you're going to get DK on some fun routes.
Yeah.
And
okay. Let me pose the question
also,
to
by the way,
all y'all.
At 5 1 year, Matt.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah.
DK,
okay.
Would you rather have DK, Waddle, or Devontae Smith?
DK, Waddle, or Devonta Smith?
Out of those,
I would go with Waddle.
Right around the same area.
I'm with you,
ADP.
Dylan. I'm with you. I think out of those 3, I'd probably go Waddle.
Out of those 3, yeah.
I'm going to take DK in that group.
He'd be number 2.
Devonta is wide receiver 2 in that offense and will always be wide receiver.
Yeah. Agreed.
That's the only reason I don't like Waddle. Like he does get the volume, but he's still wide receiver 2.
Yes. Yeah, but that offense is different. Let's just leave it at that. That offense is different.
Yeah. McDaniels has a whole different beast going on.
Yeah.
But I do think that DK outperforms Waddle this year.
Okay. I don't mind that take.
Miami
that's why I posed that question. It was like Waddle, DK. I still like DK.
I mean, I do. I like DK a lot this year. I really do. I really, really like him a lot this year. I think he finishes pretty high. I think he does. Dylan, who you got? Last player.
So I will go with one more guy from my article. So if anybody wants to actually read it on the website, they're going to have to. And this is the only other one I'm going to do. There's 5 guys on there, but also a wide receiver, DJ Moore.
Okay.
So I'm slighting him this year a little bit. He was finished as wide receiver number 6 last year for the Bears. He had the most yards per target he's ever had, second most yards per catch, most touchdowns at 8, over 1,300 yards, 96 catches, most he's ever had. I think with the Bears in the situation that they're in now, they drafted Adunze, brought in Keenan Allen, more legitimate mouths to feed, rookie quarterback. I mean, number 1 overall pick, but you don't know what you're going to get from week to week. He could be unbelievable for 2 weeks and then fall off the table, So my ceiling for him, so wide receiver 6 last year, my ceiling for him this year for DJ Moore, wide receiver 15 at best.
I love it.
Ooh, I love it.
I love it. No, I love it. DJ Moore was one of those, it was a quick pass game, screen game. You get your yards after catch your yak yards. and you didn't really see that downfield threat that they tried to offer in Carolina with him, and he blew up because that's who he is. Now he has other pieces to where it's like done. I don't hate that.
Yeah.
I don't hate that.
Shane,
so
comments?
he finished at wide receiver 6 last year, and that was the highest he's ever finished in his career.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think there's obvious regression on the horizon, and being somebody who has DK in a couple leagues, I unfortunately know that going in. The unfortunate thing I think that you end up with here is that you can't move him, and you can't move off of him because of who he is as a player.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those, like, he'd be a fantastic, like, best ball asset, but is going to be terrible to roster week to week this year just due to the volatility in that offense. But yeah, I think that he's definitely not going to be wide receiver, like a top 10. I don't even think he's top. I think he probably ends up like top 20, like maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think, yeah, Dylan's right on the head with like wide receiver 15 is about like where I think is the highest he could finish.
Yeah. And then don't hear what we're not saying, y'all. DJ Moore is a fantastic receiver. I think he's what, 26? I think he's still
27.
27?
27.
He was 15 on mine.
Yeah. So he's still a fantastic receiver. He's still got a few years left in his he's still kind of in his prime too. So don't hear what we're not saying. He's a good receiver, but Dylan is right on the head.
I still think he's, like, to start the year, he's wide receiver 1 for the Bears. I mean, and him and Keenan Allen were too. Like, you got to roll with that. But then, like, I just think over the course of the year, target share and everything else is just going to be sliding on him and going down.
I agree with that 100%. 100%. Jason, do you got last player here?
Yeah, I got one more, and I'm going to make my bold take of the evening. He number one, or no, I'm not going to say number one. I'm going to go top 3 tight ends this year, Kyle Pitts. He could even finish number 1 overall. I love the quarterback acquisition. I know, Matt, you give me that look. I'm not even going to try to look up right now.
Hey, you looked up to see what all 3 of our expressions were going to be.
I know. I saw it. Give me Kyle Pitts to finish and have his best year overall this year. He is the most athletic dude on the team. I feel like he is the biggest red zone threat in Atlanta. I think everybody in that backfield is going to have a boost in their stats because of Kirk Cousins. But give me Kyle Pitts to, I think ADP right now is 6.
He's tied in 6 right now?
Say what?
Yeah, he's tied in 6. I saw earlier
Give me top 3.
I saw earlier this week is that his ADP is the same range that it was last year. He's going to pick 6.
He might finish number 1 overall.
68.
Damn.
If he does, then y'all can.
I can.
S&D.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Like, because I definitely see the path as well. 100%. The athleticism is there. We all know it's there. We all seen it. We've seen these highlight plays from him, and I want to get on board with you. I want to see that. I want to see.
Had the sample size. We've had
I do.
Sample size.
Like,
I know.
I want to see him.
Yeah.
I want to see him succeed because he is that good. He is that good, and this is obviously. We all know it's the best quarterback he's going to have up to date. So I would really love to see that athleticism be put on display. Him and Drake London. Drake London as well.
Real quick before any of y'all else go, we've seen the 1 through 3, 1 through 5 switch up every single year in tight ends. Every single year it is switched up, and I feel like this is his year where he can burst into it for the ADP. And I feel like with a better quarterback, he could potentially get in there. Or should.
By the way, when he says it, he means finishing position.
Okay.
I'll get on board with you, Jason.
Yeah, I'm on board.
I think it's best quarterback he's ever had, and Atlanta's going to have to score some points too and throw the ball around. And especially with the depth of the tight end position overall. Like, if you got him, you're starting him every week. And there's no reason he's not top 10 for sure, and I can see a path to top 5.
I feel like he's gonna do better than Dalton Kincaid this year.
Where do you, just out of curiosity, real quick, and then we got to wrap this up. So give me your answers quickly.
No, I'll make some headbangers.
No. I like it. But just out of curiosity, where do you have in our personal rankings? Where do you have Kyle Pitts ranked in your tight end rankings?
4.
You have him at 4, Jay?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Where do you have Matt, Shane?
I have him at 9 in my own ranking.
Oh, at tight end?
Mm-hmm.
Damn, son. Where, Dylan, do you have like your own personal rankings? Where would you put him at?
Yeah, I would put him at 8. I'm kind of right there with Shane.
Okay. I have him right now currently at tight end 6 in my rankings. But I do.
Okay,
but Jason,
just wait till he outperforms Trey McBride and Dalton Kincaid.
Oh God, he ain't okay. Now we're getting a little too. We're getting a little too crazy here.
Wait.
But let me put it this way. I would love to see him finish inside the top 5. Like, no doubt. I would love to see that just because of the athletic freak that he is. We all know he's super athletic. I mean, the dude's a wide receiver playing tight end. So I would love to see that happen. I really would. Shane, do you have any comments before we wrap this up?
Yeah. Look, I understand the hype around KP. I do. I just don't necessarily see it from Kirk Cousins. Additionally, the only person I could see him leapfrogging would be Sam Laporta or Travis Kelce, depending on if they have down years. Because I think that the top 3 guys are Dalton Kincaid, Trey McBride, and Mark Andrews. So he would have to leapfrog the production of TK or Laporta. And I don't see that happening. Not to mention that like Evan Ingram and George Kittle are
not worried about them.
And Jake Ferguson, like
not worried about him.
All those guys are just there in that same slot. And I am one of those people who would rather take a shot on Evan Ingram a whole round later than roll the dice with KP in an advanced position. So like
agreed. Mm-hmm.
I just don't see KP breaking fantasy and breaking into the top 5.
So you'd rather, like for all of us, you'd rather wait a round or 2 later for Brock Bowers, or
I'd prefer Fergie, Ingram. I'd prefer to draft TJ Hawkinson and then draft Pat Freiermuth after that, like double stack those two. Mm-hmm. Like those are like, because Hawk's going to come back and have a significant role in that offense too. And
because KP is probably going round 4-ish.
It's pick 60 to 67 or something like that. It's his average.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd rather wait a round or 2, get another wide receiver. I'd rather draft David Njoku in round 7 or 8.
Yeah.
See, you're talking against your own position here, though. So,
hey, you know how much
he's just hoping. He's just hoping that KP does well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I understand. I do get it. I'm just tempering expectations.
You're just being a dick. That's what you're doing.
All right. All right. Let's wrap this thing up, guys. Remember, head on over to all the podcasting platforms. Give us a follow. Give us a like. Dylan, glad you could make the show. Remember, guys, he's going to be putting out some articles. He is part of our Parlay Fantasy Football staff now. So be ready for some stuff to come out. Go and check us out on all our socials. Go over to the website, parlaypod.com. Get your fix there. Read Dylan's article. We got a lot more to come. So, I mean, if we got nothing else, boys, y'all know what to do.
Hey, it's been real, y'all. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Hey, Dylan, glad you can be a part of the team.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you for having me.
All right, y'all. We love you all to the moon and back. Check out all our episodes. Go click on all our socials. Give us a follow. Until next time, bye-bye.